Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go with them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I'm going to go a story titled, Am I the A-hole for not siding with my wife over our son's ex-girlfriend's pregnancy? And a shout out to Harold for sending this story. And guys, this story, which is definitely a different one, is about a father, a good father, who stands by his son's side when his ex-girlfriend comes out of nowhere and says that she's pregnant, and says it's his baby. The son says, that ain't my kid, because I never slept with her. However, the girl says that he did, and it's back between he said and she said. Well, the father sides with the son. Even though the son can be kind of you're going to see. Well, guess who doesn't side with the son? Who doesn't believe him? His mother. Nope. And it gets really freaking bad. And I thought I really going to go over here, guys, just to show you how a good father is with the son. And also how oftentimes the women will side with the girls. And it doesn't end well for the mother. But here's the other thing, guys. This story has a major twist. I ain't going to say what it is. I know I tend to reveal shit in the beginning, but I'm not going to say what it is. And I was surprised. And I'm very curious, if you're honest, at the end of this, if you guys saw it coming as well. So it starts off, says here, our son just turned 16 years old. He had a girlfriend. She's 16, almost 17. But they broke up about a month ago. About 3 weeks ago, we were informed by her parents that she is pregnant. No parent wants to hear that. She is slightly showing right now. The dates line up with my son's relationship. My wife and I went into full panic mode. But we waited a couple days before telling our son, who did not know. He immediately said, "It's not mine. I never effed her." Did he actually say that to his parents and said, I never slept with her instead? I didn't believe him. I didn't believe him, as I know he is active. He did the sensible thing and asked me for protection. I didn't believe him at first, but you'll see he does. However, he kept on saying that they never did it. He said he cheated on her. I had a heart-to-heart conversation with him, and he is absolute shithead, but I began to believe him. He said he always wraps up, and he had asked for restocks. My wife, on the other hand, still did not believe him. Okay, so initially didn't believe him, but now Dad does. And notice he said here his son can be an absolute shithead. Well, you're going to see here the kid, can be. Well, both families met up, and my wife started the conversation just accepting that our son is the father and was trying to figure out a solution, funding, etc. So notice Mom just instantly thinks her kid's lying. Doesn't want to hear him, doesn't believe it. My son spoke up saying it's not his baby, as they never had sex. He was genuinely angry. Then he made a comment that I'm going to rephrase. Apparently, they only ever did a certain act, which cannot result in a baby, and it's unsatisfactory, so he never went any further with her. An absolute shithead, and we raised at him over that. So you can use your imagination. What happened, and obviously didn't go beyond that, where they had vaginal sex, or he had that with her. His ex-girlfriend admits they rarely did it, but explained the event, the when and where, and I will say it's believable too. I know he's a complete liar. I know he's an absolute dog, but I believe him still. So I guess his son's obviously kind of a shithead teenager, but then again, Mom and Dad, you raised him this way. My wife, however, is angry with me for playing into his so-called nonsense. She said, I'm part of the boy culture. She said children born to teen parents are more likely to be teen parents, and we were both 17 when my wife got pregnant. Pot calling the kettle black, Mom. She got pregnant at 17 with this kid. So they're in their mid-30s. She said, I'm worsening the situation by not living in reality, and she's left to figure out what to do on her own. So still, she doesn't believe her son. To her point, I'm hands-off on further meetings with the other family. I don't believe we should have those discussions until it's proven he's the dad. Thank you. Paternity test. He says, am I the a-hole? Also, this is really ranty. I'm sorry, but I need to let off some steam. Just to add, her parents don't want to do a paternity test until after the child is born. They said it could harm the baby, but apparently it's harmless, so I don't know. So we cannot get a test done before then. Courts can't order one till birth. Another addition, we are in the UK. So imagine, okay, she's like a month pregnant. Imagine 8 months. 8 freaking months not knowing. But the kid He's saying he didn't do it. The problem is this kid obviously can be a bit of a problem teenager, so at first that's why Dad wasn't buying it. But now he believes his son. All right, now we're into part 2. This is like 3 parts total. Part 2. He says, I didn't think I'd be coming back so soon, and this is probably more suited to an advice sub rather than Am I the A-hole sub? Cursing, sexual references, etc. Short story here. Text message that backs up her story. Another meeting went worse than the first one. He's not coming home. Mother-son relationship is fucked, and husband-wife relationship is also fucked. Okay, son's moved out, and they're all fighting with the wife and the mother. His ex has text messages to a friend around the time in which she discussed my son's large, you-know-what, with a mark organ, and the type of SCX they had. The messages align with what she says and go beyond the oral that he had said. My wife gloated, but anyway. So now the girlfriend's saying and showing texts proving that, yes, they actually, went all the way in a way that could make babies. Now the wife's gloating, and I'm right, ha ha ha. My wife invited them over without my knowledge. It was carnage. She, our son, and I were sitting on one side of the table, and he told his mom that she should sit on the other side, and he wouldn't start a conversation until she moved over. Eventually, she did. Our son was quiet in the beginning. He admitted he has the mark and is large, something I never needed to know, but he maintained it was just oral. Okay, so the girl is mentioning that he's, in the text, that he's large down there, and I guess there's some birthmark or something down in that region. Well, she can learn that by giving him oral, for God's sakes. Doesn't mean they have to go in a baby-making way. Now listen to this part to show you what this kid is like. He started winking at his ex's mother. When she asked why he was winking at her, he said, your husband is gayer than Philip Schofield, so I'm sure he'd like to get like a go at my large. He turned to his ex's dad, Philip, and says, it's not for you, followed by a gay slur. I was speechless at it all. Whoa. My wife said to my son to stop denying it. My wife started planning again. I said I'd still want a DNA test, preferably now, but immediately at birth, they stuck to birth. Well, my son spoke up. He said that this is not how this is going to work. He told them that they get the test done now, or he will refuse to get tested until he finishes college. So 6 years from this time period. He said courts won't expect maintenance from a kid. And in that time, the SLUT who gave birth to him, my wife, will have to spend so much money on a kid that is unrelated to her. He said hopefully that spirals the SLUT into a very dark place. This kid is so pissed off he's calling his mom an SLUT right in front of her, amongst the other crack he made at his ex-girlfriend's parents. Now I get this kid's pissed off, but that's crossing a line. The mom, yeah, I get the mom doesn't believe him, and he's pissed off at her, but that's going too far. They said they just would court order it. He said a court cannot force him. Some autonomy thing. He seems confident, and it turns out that he's right. He was walking out, and his mother grabbed his arm to come back in. He said, get your dirty hand off me, you SLUT. He said he'd fight back if she didn't let go. I told her to let him go. He said he was staying in a friend's house, and he's been staying there a bit. Damn, this is a fucking mess. Again, I get the kid's pissed off. His mom doesn't believe him, and everybody's saying that it's his kid and all that, but should be calling his mama that. She's an asshole, I agree, but still. I went out, and I said I'd drive him. He agreed. In the car journey, he said he knows I don't believe him anymore, but he didn't F her. He said school is horrible, social media is horrible, and your wife, he didn't call her mom, is a bitch. I said, you can't speak about your mom like that. He said she's a woman that gave birth to him and minded him, that's all. He said she doesn't care how he's coping, she never even asked. So, notice he mentioned like school's terrible, social media's terrible, probably shaming him. Okay, that'll definitely make your life a living hell. When we got to his friend's house, he cried a bit to me. He says nothing to do with me, but he won't be home much anymore. He said hopefully I'd still hang out with him. I know his friend's father from the pub. He started talking to me. I was going to give him money because my son is over there a lot, but he refused. He said my son told him everything. He is a counselor. He said girls can exaggerate their friends, boys can lie. He said he knows my son since he was tiny and he believes him. He also said he might have more information than I do, but I have no idea. He warned that we were going to lose him if we're not careful. See? Well, I went home. I told my wife if she so much as says one word to me, our son, or about the baby without a test being done, we are over. Good for him for laying down the law. If she doesn't apologize to her son in the next few days and beg him for forgiveness, we are done. I sadly do mean it. It wasn't heat of the moment. By her reflection, I think we will separate for now. I do love her as we were childhood sweethearts, but my son is my son. It's not a matter of believing him. I probably don't. It's a matter of being there for him. He was always a shithead. Well, you can tell that. But his behavior is erratic and almost asking for help. It's worrying how quickly he has changed. He is the priority for me right now, counseling and plenty of it. So even he admits his kid is a little shithead, but he's his boy, and he's loyal to his son. And there's a part of it, you can tell he's back and forth, like, is he telling the truth? But you know what? I'm standing by my son. But the wife won't do that. Well, now we're going to get into part 3 and get some answers here, where the twist comes that I never saw coming. Part 3. He says, my wife and I separated, but we are on good terms. There you go. They already split up. He meant it. Say what you mean what you say, guys. I think she understands why I moved out, but we still want to deal with the situation differently. I'm living in a flat with my son. He does seem happier. The good news is his ex's parents last Thursday agreed to do a paternity test. This is booked for this Wednesday. I don't know what brought it on, the sudden change. Good. Get the fucking paternity test over and done with so this kid can move on. I told my son that they had agreed. He asked to meet his ex and her parents to apologize. He thanked and apologized to his ex's parents for what he said to them. Well, that's good. I'm glad he did that. This guy, he's redeeming himself a little bit. They were very good to accept the apology, although I do think he deserved an apology too. He said to his ex that he's not starting anything, but they both know it is not his kid. She still insisted that it is his kid. Oh, for God's sakes. I asked if maybe he wanted to apologize to his mother or at least have a discussion with her. He said he will not apologize to her and he won't forgive her even if she apologized to him. He said he hates her and always will. That's still an utter mess. He won't speak to her. If she visits our flat, he leaves. So the kid was deep, even though he can be a shithead, is deeply hurt by it. But you know what? He still called her a SLUT. That is crossing the line. But still, she wasn't believing him. Well, on Saturday night, I told him I won't be angry if he has been lying, but if he is, I prefer him to be honest rather than find out by a test. He again says it's not his kid. Okay, Dad, I think at this point you gotta believe the kid. But quickly after that, he asked me to promise I wouldn't get mad if he told me the truth. What truth, son? He said he doesn't want labels, but the reason is it went no further with his ex is because he can't stay up with girls, and he uses the condoms, but not with girls. Uh-oh. In other words, he prefers burritos to fish tacos here. He got some oral with her, but obviously he was probably kind of soft, and so she knows what he looks like there. But he's using the condoms, but it's not with her or any girls. Hence not his baby. I couldn't respond as he went to bed. Yeah, I'm sure Dad was a little surprised here. I told him Sunday morning I'm fine with him, whatever he is. Admittedly, it was a surprise. I did ask about the Philip Schofield comment he made against his ex's dad, and he said nothing like that ever happened. He said it's a guy his own age. I didn't push it any more than that. I bet you it's his friend. The dude he's staying with, you know, the son of the counselor from the pub who's helping him out. He wants to keep it quiet, so here I am, and I can't tell others, but it'd be a shock at this point if it is his. It's not his fucking kid, dude. He didn't sleep with her because he doesn't get turned on by women. So anyhow, he wanted to know about this whole thing if he's the a-hole. That is the abrupt ending. Now, obviously, there's going to be more to this. So anyhow, the kid obviously is going through a lot of shit. Fair enough. That's tough. But I still don't agree with him calling his mom that. But I have no problem with kid being pissed at his mom for immediately the mom, nope, it's your kid. And she immediately is a believe all woman type. Well, look at the mess it caused. Her problem with her kid, problem with the husband, everything. And even the husband's back and forth. I'm glad he's standing by his son's side no matter what. And here's the thing. No guy, or young guy is going to admit to being into dudes if they're not into dudes. It's hard enough for a young guy who actually is into dudes to come out and admit he's into dudes. But to actually lie about it, no, that ain't happening. So obviously, I did not see that twist coming at all. I'm sure maybe some of you did, but I did not. Now, the comment section is full of lots of comments, as you can imagine. So I'm going to read them, and he responds to some of them. One guy says here, and that twist gives some clarity as to why he's been so adamant and absolutely enraged by his mother's behavior. Please get your son and family into therapy. He is wrestling with a lot, and in a way you and your wife haven't handled. This would have much better if you had professional guidance. And our OP, the father, says, counseling has a long waiting list. He's on the list. In the meantime, I've made him speak to this org I was told about. It's like a helpline, but it's managed by student psychologists and similar. Student psychologist? No, I don't want a student psychologist. If he wants to do the talk line, that's okay, but come on here. It's not therapy, it's just someone to speak to. He will still need counseling, and I think he probably will welcome it. Another comment says here, well, that's a turn. Bet you weren't expecting him to be having a you-know-what with a dude, but there's no way a kid his age just makes that up to slip out of responsibilities. I'm so pleased you stood so firmly with your son. Your wife, or ex, continues to be bizarre. I do think it's odd that you and your son are leaving the family home and not her. And he responds, it's my mate's flat. I'd hoped it would be a short stay, and I thought our son might be better off not in our home, just a break. I agree it's good to keep the kid out of the home. I don't know if it's offensive to say he doesn't come across as gay, but he doesn't, so it was a surprise. That's not me saying he's lying. He's not making that up. The kid ain't making that up, Dad. Jesus Christ. We're going to not believe him on two things? And last comment, one guy says, yeah, I just found your post. I went back to read the others. I would have been the same mind as you. DNA test first before believing anyone above your son, especially if my teenager was given access to protection and seemed to be actively using it. You're doing the right thing to support him and continue to be his safe person. While his confession may come as a shock to you, that is not something that teenagers tend to lie about. I hope that he gets the help he needs to heal from his ordeal and truly begin comfortable in his own skin. So there you go. I didn't see that one coming. I'm sure most of you did not either. It is what it is. But what pisses me off about the whole thing is the mother always believed that he was lying. And the mother, to believe all women, believed the girl. And the whole time the girl's lying about it. The kid made it clear, no, can't get it up for the girl. And obviously she's probably trying with him with the oral thing, but it didn't go too far. Let alone he couldn't do the other thing. But she lied about it, because probably he was the best candidate to say is the father, which tends to happen. So anyhow, the story ain't over, and I'm sure we'll hear more from that. But anyhow, guys, stand by your sons. They sometimes can be shitheads. Maybe you don't quite believe, but at least stand by their side. And it's sad when the moms don't. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.